Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Fantasy football is upon us again. I'm Jim Stella. He's Jay Dash. We got some, fantasy value for rounds 4 to 6?
Yeah, average draft position throughout a few leagues, Yahoo, ESPN, a bunch of them.
Mad leagues. Fantasy football is just insane. Are we going to do DraftKings this year, or is it illegal? Will we get arrested?
I have no clue. I haven't paid any attention to that, and I don't plan on playing it anyways.
We'll play it then.
Believe it.
Who do you got for us?
At average draft position 48.3, which is just over the 4th round, correct?
Somewhere around there, depending on how many teams you got.
Yeah, well, we're talking about 12-team leagues here.
All right, word up. You didn't make me aware of that stipulation.
Yeah, my bad. It's also PPR, believe that. That's all we do here.
If you don't play PPR, you're not even playing fantasy football. You're a loser. You should just go crawl under your blankets and stay there for the rest of your life.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but you got to get with the times. PPR is where it's at.
If Donald Trump's going to be our president, you got to do PPR.
Please believe it. And you also got to have Jarvis Landry, and that's who I was talking about here at average draft position 48.3.
He's got weird hair.
Yeah, and he's Ryan Tannehill's number 1 target too, and this guy is a beast, and I am definitely taking him at this point. If he's sitting there in the 4th round, I mean, again, to me, he's a number 1 receiver, so I'm definitely taking this guy. If he's there in the 4th round, or really, I wouldn't mind in the 3rd, or if you're looking for a receiver in the 2nd round, and somebody went on, and your league went on a run on wide receivers early, man, I would not mind Jarvis Landry in the 2nd round, but you'd most likely be able to get him in the 3rd or 4th, so I'd probably wait if you could.
New head football coach Adam Gase wants to throw the football all around the lot. I read he's going to give Ryan Tannehill a little bit more control over the offense, give him the ability to call audibles at the line of scrimmage, maybe run a little bit of no huddle, call some of his own plays. Apparently Joe Philbin, I believe I'm saying his name right, kind of handcuffed Tannehill and only would let him do what Joe Philbin wanted him to do. That doesn't really fit Tannehill's style. He's kind of a bigger guy who's not going to run a lot, but he's going to move around at least to be able to make plays down the field. And Jarvis Landry's the type of receiver that can get down the field. He can also get the ball in his hands on a short pass and take it down the field, so he's going to give you a lot of opportunities. They signed Arian Foster to run the football down there. If he can run the football well, that's going to open up the passing game. So the sky's the limit for that offense, and I think the Dolphins are going to make a run at that division, actually.
I think Arian Foster is a definitely value pick in fantasy drafts as well, but we'll get to that at a later date. He's going a lot later than the rounds we're talking about here. Another guy is a guy that was a top 10 draft pick last season, and he had somewhat of a down year, but again, at the running back position, it is so hard to find good players, and this guy is still a beast, and that is Cincinnati running back Jeremy Hill. And at the average draft position of 49.8, I mean, you cannot beat that. I mean, you're going to have to, if you're not taking a running back in the 1st round, you're going to have to find some guys here in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, you know what I mean? And Jeremy Hill, to me, can turn into a top 10 running back again.
He can. The only thing that scares me, and I know a lot of teams do it.
Giovanni.
Yeah, their 2-back system has 2 legit backs. So there's always the chance of one getting hot and the other not really getting a lot of carries. That's not really going to happen in your average 2-back system where you have the guy who totes the rock most of the time and somebody who just spells you 10 times a game maybe. So that's the one thing that's always kept me away from Jeremy Hill, but it seems like every year that I say he's garbage, he plays well, and every year that I think he's going to play well, he's garbage. So I've been saying he's garbage, so you might actually want to pick him up because he's probably going to lead the league in rushing.
I mean, it's kind of, when the offensive line is playing well, Jeremy Hill's the back because he's the one you want to give a lot of touches to if you can. Giovanni Bernard, I mean, I'm not saying he's injury prone.
Smoked by Ryan Shazier again.
Exactly. I mean, you don't want to give that guy 30 touches a game. Now, so if Cincinnati's run game is working well this season, which I think it can, Jeremy Hill's going to be the guy that gets a lot of touches and has a lot of big games like he did a couple years ago and made him a top 10 running back. And, I mean, Giovanni Bernard was there that year too, you know what I mean? And that they were both able to produce somewhat. Jeremy Hill had the huge year that year, but Giovanni, he was still making plays as well. And I always talked up Giovanni Bernard as well, but Jeremy Hill is a beast, and I would definitely take him in the 5th round if he's there for sure. But, I mean, again, if you're not taking a running back in the 1st round, Jeremy Hill might end up being your first running back.
Yikes.
See, I don't necessarily have a problem with it the way that the league is turning out because, yeah, you're saying yikes, but if you don't have Todd Gurley or Adrian Peterson at this point, I mean, you're saying yikes about any team, really.
I'm just not a Hill fan. I wonder if he's related to Hank Hill.
I highly doubt it. Propane?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
He sells propane and propane accessories.
Believe it.
What's next?
2 quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees. Roethlisberger is
Rosengardner.
going at average draft position 53.3, and Drew Brees is 55.7. Look, there's a lot of guys in this draft that have a ton of questions in the top 50 players here. They're not all guaranteed players. So if I'm not sure on something, man, and I definitely want a good quarterback too. And really after these guys, they're still good quarterbacks, but there's a couple questions with them, like Carson Palmer and
Garbage.
Blake Bortles.
Garbage.
I wouldn't go that far on. I wouldn't go that far on either one of them. I still think they have a chance to put up big seasons.
I heard there's talk of if Carson Palmer falls off, they're going after Drew Brees next year, Arizona.
Believe it, I wouldn't doubt it at all, and I think Brees would put up a huge season there. But after Brees and Roethlisberger, there are some questions with the quarterbacks, and I mean, like I said, there's questions with some of the guys in the top 50 as well. So I'm taking Roethlisberger or Drew Brees if they're there in the 5th round, and really 4th round as well. Why not?
I'm taking Antonio Brown, number 1 overall, and then I'm taking
Le'Veon Bell
in the
somehow in the
2nd round, and then
round.
I'm taking Roethlisberger in the 3rd round.
I mean, if you took him in the 3rd round, man, it wouldn't be that much of a reach to me. I mean, you want a quarterback that you can trust.
The only thing that worries me is Ben misses games.
I mean, if he misses games, yeah. How many did he miss last year? 4?
Parts of others, too, though. So that hurts. It hurts more when he comes out of a game than when he actually misses a game. Because when he misses a game, you can put somebody else in. When he gets jacked in the back of the shoulder by Vontaze Burfict and he comes out of the game, it kind of screws you. I hate that about fantasy.
There probably is one quarterback I would definitely draft that is behind him, and that is Tom Brady. He's at 73 right now.
Garoppolo?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to miss 4 games, but...
You keep saying Brady's going to fall off one of these years.
Well, he is 39 years old, man. So
yeah,
it could be this year.
Why does everybody say that Ben Roethlisberger's got 2 years left in him at like 34, but Brady's 39, and they're like, oh, he's good for 5.
I guess Roethlisberger's take more of a beating. He wrecked the bike. He's
more of a man than Brady, so there's no reason that he can't play just as long. Who's next?
How many players did we go over here? That was 4 players. 4, we got one more. Let's go with Michael Floyd. His average draft position is 56.7, and I think he's a lot better than that. I think Michael Floyd, like I said, Carson Palmer, you may not trust him or whatever, but nope, I think he has
Eddie B loves him.
Yeah, I think he has a chance to repeat what he did last season. And Michael Floyd, he started off slow. Larry Fitzgerald was the talk of the town out in Arizona, had a big rebound season. But after a while, Michael Floyd showed what he can do. And what I've been talking about for years, I've always been talking about Michael Floyd. And I think he did break out last year. Halfway through, I think this is a year that he can do it from the start of the season. And I think he's going to be able to have a huge season. And right now, he's actually listed above Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's average draft position is 60.5. Floyd is the number 1 guy out there in Arizona. And I kind of agree with it. I like Michael Floyd.
I looked like a genius last year when I took Larry Fitzgerald, and I'd stick with him this year. But I'm not hating on your Floyd pick. I'm just saying I love me some Larry Fitzgerald.
And that's not a terrible pick either, man. That is what? Larry's getting picked at the end of round 5 or the top of round 6 at this point, and you can't hate on that pick.
They're going to air it out down there with Bruce Arians, so it's not like they're going to have a great running game. I think they re-signed Chris Johnson.
Yeah, they re-signed Chris Johnson. They still have David Johnson out there.
That's what it is.
And he's actually a top 10 pick in fantasy this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
David
I know
Johnson,
the potential's there. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
he hasn't done it enough yet for me to take him in the top 10.
Well, I mean, running back's so thin this year. And
Well, okay, maybe top 10 running back.
No.
Just top 10 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
I mean, You need it though, man.
I know, but I'd be too scared. He's not.
I hear you.
He's not done enough.
And listen,
yet
I've
for me to
already
do
been
that.
hearing that Chris Johnson's going to be the starting running back to start the season if
Yeah.
he's healthy, and he's going to be, because he's the one that you want to give the carries to. David Johnson's the one that can blow up, you know what I mean?
Right.
But those guys are scary because they have their bad games. But he's so good that, I mean, he's going to get some carries during the game, and he's going to be a huge part of that passing game. So, again, Jim, if you're not going to trust Carson Palmer, you might want to stay away from all the Arizona Cardinals this season.
Where would you rate D'Angelo Williams, considering he's probably only going to tote the rock the first 4 games as the starter? Would you risk taking him in somewhere around the 7th or 8th round just for 4 good games?
Well, his average draft position is 103.5 at this point. That is round 9, and I'd definitely take him in round 9. It depends on how your draft goes, though. If you think you got a strong team early, I wouldn't mind taking him in round 6. Well, no, I'm not going to go as high as 6, 7 or 8. I'd say. But I wouldn't take him any earlier than that, man, because when Bell does come back,
Yeah,
I mean,
he's going to take the back seat.
But again, there's so many questions at the running back position this year that no matter who you draft, there's a good chance by week 4 you're scrambling for a running back anyways, whether through injury or the guy just didn't produce. So D'Angelo Williams, I mean, it may be no different than taking a guy that looks like he's going to start all season long, you know?
You used to have to mix and match all the other players, and you would be able to just draft a few running backs and ride them out for the whole year. Now it's totally different. Running back's the position you're mixing and matching. You're trying to find good matchups. You're trying to find hot running backs. People get hurt, so, you know what I mean? Even if you get one of the good guys, they break their freaking ankle, and then you're scrambling to try to find anybody. So running back's the hardest thing to find. Everybody does the 2-back system. Nobody really runs the ball more than they throw the ball outside of a few teams. So it's just it's not the premium position anymore in fantasy. Really, to me, the premium thing to do, stack a quarterback wide receiver combo like an Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, or a Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown. And it's still scary because if one of them gets hurt, then you're missing one half. But I think that's one of the best ways to stack up points, especially in a PPR league.
How about Ezekiel Elliott? Is his average draft position 7.8?
Him, Des Bryant, and Tony Romo have 3 of the top 10 highest selling jerseys in the league, and they're like the new triplets, and everybody's all on their bandwagon. I'm not feeling it yet. I want to see what they can do. Tony Romo's arm's going to snap in half after about the 5th pass he throws. Des Bryant's foot's going to break when he starts running down the field, and Ezekiel Elliott's knee's going to get blown out, dude.
Well, look,
the O-line just collapses.
I'm not going to say all that.
Dude, Rolando McClain's out on defense. What is that? Randy Gregory's out on defense. They got another guy who's out on defense. Their defense is going to be so bad this year. It's just their whole team. They're going to struggle. They're not winning their division.
Well, in terms of fantasy here, and Ezekiel Elliott in the top 10.
Yeah.
See, the thing to me is they have Darren McFadden still. They have
Darren
Lance
McGarbage.
Dunbar still.
Lance should have been
And
Dunbar
they signed
last
Alfred
year.
Morris as well. So you
He'll be
got
cut.
3 other. Okay, but Jesus, man. You just hated on every single player on the Dallas Cowboys.
That's because I hate the
Listen,
Cowboys.
they got 4 running backs out there. So I'm not taking a chance on Ezekiel Elliott in the first round.
No.
And maybe not even I'm just letting somebody else take him most likely.
Listen, if the Cowboys were stupid enough to draft him 5th overall, the poor bastard is going to struggle in his whole entire career because the Cowboys are a giant jinx. I hate them. I hate you, Jerry Jones. You're never going to win a Super Bowl. You're
Des
garbage.
Bryant's a beast, man, in fantasy.
You know
Ezekiel
what?
Elliott
I
can
picked
be
up Des
too,
Bryant when he came back last year, and he didn't do nothing. Anything else for the fans today?
No.
Questions or comments, fans? You know where to find us. Twitter, bet_the_spread. Twitter, betjimthewin. Check out that Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Throw out some comments. We had some people say we made them cry the other day. Sorry, I didn't know you were so sensitive. Go to youtube.com/betthespread. Share everything. Share the spread. Tell your mom. Tell your grandma. She probably wants to listen to sports talk radio. I know I do.